Number 5, Maria Meno Kapakingi.
Kia ora, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the lead coordination minister for the government's response to the Royal Commission's report into historical abuse in state care and in the care of faith-based institutions. Does she agree with the Whanaketia report that the state failed to address the ongoing systemic impacts of colonisation that contributed to Māori being taken into care and which Māori experienced abuse and neglect? This includes recognising the inherent mana motuhake of iwi and hapu, structural reform that would have enabled Māori to exercise rangatiratanga and mana motuhake.
The Honourable Erica Stanford.
Mr. Speaker, I'm advised that this quote is not one of the over 500 findings in the Royal Commission's final report. As such, it's not been reviewed or analysed in our work on responding to the Royal Commission. The Royal Commission considered hundreds of thousands of pages of evidence. Most of that material is now restricted under the Inquiries Act 2013. As the material that the Commission relied on to form this view is not available to the government, it's not possible for me to either agree or disagree with the statement. However, as the Prime Minister reflected in his apology yesterday, it is clear that racism was a contributing factor to Māori, tamariki and rangatahi being disproportionately taken into care where many experienced abuse and neglect.
Supplementary. Does the Minister agree that repealing Section 7AA is doing the complete opposite of addressing the systemic impacts of colonisation and will therefore contribute to further abuse and neglect of tamariki Māori in the state system?
No.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the answer.
But I did. Have you got another question?
Oh, all right. I do, yes, supplementary. When can survivors expect to see a clear time frame for a redress system to be put in place? How much longer will survivors need to wait just to be given a clear time frame for redress at all?
Can I just say, look, the primary question is very explicit. The Minister has said that it doesn't form part of the response that the government has. It's a bit hard to see how we now go on to something entirely different.
From our information, we understand that the first question is in the information. I'm not sure why the Minister doesn't know or recognise it, but I wouldn't have put it if I didn't think that it was valid. But we're happy to check whether our details are absolutely so. So in that regard, taking it to my second question and my third, I was following that flow and referring to 7AA inside the context of the AIC work, Mr. Speaker.
That's fine, but it was the jumping to the compensation aspect that is the difficulty. Do you have it? Why are you standing? No, well, then don't bother because you haven't taken a point of order. So if you've got another supplementary, go for it.
All right, I do. Does she agree that legislation which seeks to undermine Te Titi o Waitangi and the mana motuhake of Te Iwi Māori, such as the Treaty Principles Bill and the Section 7AA repeal, contributes to the culture of harm described in Whanaketia and goes completely against the spirit of reconciliation and redress of yesterday's apology?
Point of order, the Honourable Simeon Brown.
Mr. Speaker, I think all of those supplementary questions don't relate to the specificity of the particular primary, which is in relation to a quote in the report and is seeking to go outside of that. I think the supplementary should be following the primary, and I think they're not actually anywhere near where it should be going.
Yes, I know, but you need to be aware that the questions come in, they are checked for their validity, etc. Regardless of what answer might be given, the questions come to me for approval on the basis that the authentication of them has been accepted. Once it's accepted, then questions that might flow from that directly are okay. And the last question is most certainly in order. Do you want to ask it again? Because I think it might be lost.
Of course, I'm happy to. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does she agree that legislation which seeks to undermine te titi o Waitangi and the mana motuhake of te iwi Māori, such as the Treaty Principles Bill and the Section 7AA repeal, contributes to the culture of harm described in whanaketia and goes completely against the spirit of reconciliation and redress of yesterday's apology?
Mr. Speaker, I'm not responsible for that legislation, and the coordinating minister responsible for the recommendations on the report, of which this is not one.
A point of order.
It's hard to know where the line is as to who is responsible for which piece of it, but certainly having the, and hence my question. Again, the question aligns with the primary question. It's very clear, it's very specific, and I don't feel at all whether that's been either addressed or understood.
Is the point of order going on? Are you speaking to the point of order?
Of order.
Right. Then just wait till the point of order's been delivered.
Yeah, thank you. The point of order that she's making is in relation. I mean, she's asking questions which are in relation to a whole range of other issues. When the primary question is, does she agree with a particular quote in a report? She's asking about other pieces of legislation which are not part of this question, nor part of the minister's responsibility.
But it's hard to get away from the fact that the House took an enormous amount of time yesterday to make a public apology based on the report. To ask a question about some consequential actions and its relation to the apology is not out of order. Ask the question one more time. Well, sorry, if the minister is not responsible for that, then that would be an answer to the House, but I will want to listen to the question so I can hear the answer.
Does she agree the legislation which seeks to undermine te titi o Waitangi and the mana motuhake of te iwi Māori, such as the Treaty Principles Bill and the Section 7AA repeal, contributes to the culture of harm described in whanaketia and goes completely against the spirit of reconciliation and redress of yesterday's apology? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, firstly, I reject the assertion in that question, and secondly, I'm not the minister responsible for the legislation that she speaks of.
Thank you.